Greetings and welcome to Empower 11 Radio. This is the show that's all about turning your life up to 11. I am Jack Voorhees, and I'm here today with the beautiful and talented Ann Ribley.
Hi there, Jack Voorhees. Well, I'm happy to be doing the show with you. You are my confidant and my partner, and also a business genius and such a warm, compassionate person. So honored to be sharing this show with you.
So we're changing things up a little bit. We're doing something a little bit different today. And Ann, you want to explain what we're doing today?
Oh, well, we're going to recap the highlights that we've went over so far this year because they are so important and really mean a lot to us in the hearts of what we want to share with all of our listeners. And it's the highlights of our Empower 11 book. And because these are so important and critical steps of progression, not only that we've used in our life, but we want to share for you to be able to use in your life. Anybody who's like catching the show or anybody who's been following us, we just felt like it would be important since we're at the halfway point in the year just to go back and recap like what the conversation's been and revisit how we can just implement more of the wholeness of it.
Well, I know that true transformation happens in steps of progression. Very seldom does some just kind of aha awareness cause a sudden transformation. It can be the beginning of it.
Yeah, I was going to say it begins but the steps of progression is what cements it.
Yeah, I mean that's what you're building, something more stable. Some sudden shift from some kind of event that might have happened in your life can cause something powerful to shift in your life, but it isn't. It doesn't really have that really solid foundation that actually doing the work in a way of having steps of progression can offer you.
Yeah, it's kind of like building a house. You can have that, here's the vision of what I want. Here's what I know that I want to build. But it's actually putting in the implementation of the steps to build the house. You know, it's that same idea in our lives with.
Yeah, knowing and doing are two different things. And we can have this real awareness that this is an area that we want to have a shift in our life. But until we go into the action of actually doing it, then things stay the same.
Okay, so today is all about turning our lives up to 11. And we're both in our Empower 11
gear,
yes.
So we're cheering our swag, whatever it is. Yeah,
we're cheering on our Empower 11 peeps as we all turn our lives up to 11, where we get who we are on the inside to be a match and congruent with the life that we want to be living on the outside. And truly, that's where that oneness of the inside and the outside doesn't become 1 + 1 is 2, but it becomes 11. It becomes quantum multiplied, and our ability to shapeshift, have an effect in the world, and the oneness and the harmony that exists. Because when we have more people that are feeling that congruency, then I do feel that we begin to become more whole in who we are, and the world starts to empower a different place of oneness and light.
And I always say that each individual has these unique gifts to give to the world. They have this unique DNA, this unique fingerprints, and their unique gifts to give to the world. And it's those people that can get into that good place within themselves and find their true treasures and open up that treasure box, pull out those jewels, shine those jewels, and share the beauty that they have inside of them with the world. These are the people that are going to have the most soulful experiences in life. They're the people that are going to make the most impact on the world. And I think we are living in a great time. The world is changing, and those people that can get into that good place within themselves, those are the people that really have the ability with how we communicate now and how the world is becoming more connected to really share the true gifts of who they are and what they have to offer to the world.
Yeah, I mean, we can really get in this place where we're more connected with our aspirations and our dreams, because never has it been so easy to make a change, to make a difference. I mean, really, like in the click of a button, we have the ability to impact the world.
It's miraculous. I mean, it's really incredible. So Ian, you just shared this this full moon ritual that you do, and you had a teleseminar. And if you haven't checked out the teleseminar yet, then check out the show notes. Check the links. Go to Empower 11 or go to AnnRibley.com, and you can check out what the recorded teleseminar. It was really awesome, and the response and when we did the full moon ceremony here, we had some. Well, what was crazy about it was that the power went out right after we did it, and everything got quiet and still, and all we had was the light of the fireplace. It was really beautiful.
It was powerful, and it was like that for a few hours. Well, what's important is talking about this full moon ritual is because I really am a passionate believer in, again, it lines up with steps of progression. If every month we do a check-in with what's the natural cycle that exists in our natural world, where light is being brought to the darkness, and there's an alignment happening. The sun, the moon, and the earth are in perfect alignment. That's what creates the full moon. And if we take that ability to align ourselves, bring light to the darkness, we're just putting ourselves in the rhythm and flow that already exists in our natural world. So I have used the full moon with myself, with my family and my children as a way to do a check-in. And that consistency, I really feel it has helped shape shift so much in my life. Mm-hmm. And so we've mentioned it on the show many times, but I really felt compelled because so many people had still come to me and say, okay, again, how do you do that full moon ritual? So I kind of organized it in a way that it's easy now that you can get a half-hour fast track for me on how to actually start implementing it into your life as a way to really make some miraculous change. Which brings me to my point. When you said you believe everybody has their DNA that's personal and unique to them and it's their treasures, well, I believe in people's miraculous ability to make change. And I believe that right now, wherever you're at in your life, that you can do it. You can make that change. I'm all about cheering you on, and I cheer myself on for doing the same thing in my own life. And so today, what we're going to go over is ways to really own that place in your life, which brings us to the very first in Power 11 first power, which is owning your intentions, taking ownership of your life. And what does that really mean? And we hear that thrown around a lot.
Yeah, we've done a series of shows all around the topic of ownership and taking ownership and taking responsibility and really owning this place of ownership in our lives.
And that's a place where all that was, all that is,
and all that will be
belongs to me. And if we can, anything that doesn't feel good to us, if we can get to this place where we're not avoiding it, we're not sidestepping it, but we're understanding that this life and all the experiences that have happened to this point do belong to me. It's what I do with it. It's the feelings, it's the energy that I take, and not be defined by it, but become a refined human being by it.
I know that it is easy to get into to get into a role of victimization, and that is that often some life event will happen, and we can absorb that. I mean, there's a couple ways that we can take that. One, we can say that we got screwed, and then we're in a victim role.
Well, and I do believe in the match game, which we'll go over later, because then life will mirror that back to you in a way that'll make you feel like you got screwed.
Yeah. The other way is to take it and kind of flip it and take the whenever we've experienced anything in life, then we have the ability to learn from that. whether it was a positive experience or what might seem as a negative experience. So often I've had negative experiences that I felt they were negative experiences at the time, but then later to find out that it was really something that actually empowered me.
Well, that's my point about, when we can even shift out of where it's not necessarily positive or negative, we're just always tracking ourselves into experiences and offering up to life this energy of, is what I'm doing empowering me or is it disempowering me? And when we're talking about like taking ownership or feeling like a victim, it's easy to see it in the broad strokes of our life. But when we really get to those really subtle details, the nuances, the everyday living, it's really rooting ourselves in that ownership. I know for me, I went through a few years where, where there was this whole issue around child support and that I wasn't getting paid child support, even though there was an order for it. And I had a lot of people that would campaign that in a way to try to elicit that he is wrong and you are right and entitled to it, which it doesn't mean that that's not something that's part of what I would step forward with and making sure that it's covered and it's there. But the thing of it is I did not want to be victimized by the fact that I was not getting paid child support during that time frame. And what's really interesting is no matter what of the talk or because there's a really hard campaign that, yes, absolutely, Ann, you should be getting paid that. That is so wrong of him. However, because I never took on that victim owning that place, and I really feel that life begins to conspire, because if I was a victim of it, I would be victimized by it. And life conspired in this really interesting way that there was this really unique opportunity that came up that my brother offered to me. And he's like, Ann, you need to do this. Trust me with the position you're in. It's going to work out for you. And I invested some of my time and money into it. And the money that came in easily and effortlessly totally took care of the needs. It was like almost this replacement to what would have been the child support money. And then what's really interesting is that when that investment and opportunity, no longer was happening anymore.
Ran its course.
That's the best way to put it. Then what happened was then now the child support started actually really kicking in. And it was like, this is that place that when we do take ownership and we don't allow ourselves to be victimized or see one source or one way life can work out for us, what we do is we open ourselves up to the possibilities where life does conspire in ways that maybe are unexpected, because we haven't locked ourselves into one way that life can support our needs.
Yeah, there's all these life sayings like, when one door closes, another door opens, and these sayings become these like cliches.
Yeah.
And I think that usually a cliche doesn't stick and doesn't become a cliche.
Yeah.
And unless there's some value there.
Power,
There's,
yeah.
Yeah.
Sticking power.
So in the 12-step program, which I've been a part of recovery for the last
15 and a half years now.
Yeah. 185 months. And it's just, I got a little app. So there's all these sayings that go around, and sometimes we get sick of them. People talk about, oh God, if I hear one day at a time, one more time, but there is that truth in it. And my son Max and I were just talking about that. My son Max is here from Michigan
Visiting.
Yeah. And we're here in Santa Barbara, California. And we were just having a discussion about that the other day, and he's like, these
one
cliches,
day at a time,
all the cliches in life, that
it's so funny because sometimes he'll say to you, "Don't give me Chinese cookie fortunes for advice," because it is more of these like, lucky cliches, one day at a time, and prosperity will be yours, something like that.
Yeah. So. We were talking about the victim role and stuff, and that can carry right into the message that we carry with us. So,
well, first, I want to say one thing about...
Well, all right.
Well, because this is back to taking ownership.
It's a 1-hour show, Ann.
It's taking ownership. This is a key part where we said, okay, all that was and will be belongs to you, and owning your intentions and owning your life is I believe a major component is understanding life debt. And that is when we don't hold on to resentments because that's a form of emotional and energetic indebtedness that we put out to life, that someone has done us wrong. It's a grievance and they owe us something back for it. That is a way that undermines our own ownership to life. And the more we can surrender these debts that are energetic debts. There's even
karmic debts.
Yes, I was going to say there's even karmic debts.
We had our show last week was involved karma and how it works with the law of attraction, and that was a really well received show.
Oh yeah, because it's about what are we really personally doing? Are we creating more energetic debts for ourselves versus freeing ourselves up to become truly the owner of our life? And that's what is so important is for me, even the thing that I've went through, personally in my life is that if I'm going to take ownership of it, I can't have debts energetically to, like, let's say my ex-husband and what he should be doing or shouldn't be doing. What I can do is take ownership of my life and empower it from that place. And life did empower me back. It was much more empowering. Resentments and debts and energetic debts and grievances, those undermine our ability to take ownership. So I think it's really important before we go on and we say what's the message we're carrying, because a lot of times we're carrying messages of debt and of lack.
Yeah. So these messages that we carry with us, that we might not even realize that they're there, but we are carrying these messages. There's these beliefs that we've taken on, and sometimes they're very powerful, and other times they're not so powerful. They can they can rob us of what the truth is. So we always. You talk about, there's the way you see it, there's the way others see it, and then there's the way it really is. And I think who's ever closer to be able to see it for what it really is the one that is in more of a powerful position.
Well, and then that carries over to how we're embodying the message we carry. Because if we can get closer to the way it really is, then our language that we're giving to our interactions, to our world, with how we're handling situations, becomes much more empowering versus disempowering, because now the message that we're carrying about our life is from this closest place of truthful power, where the power is in the truth.
Yeah, and I ask people not only what is the message that you carry, but what is the way in which you're speaking that message? You're conveying that message.
Yeah.
Or whether there be the self dialogue that people have. I mean, we all have this kind of inner voice that. When we can really tap into it, it's a great source of power. But then there's this other aspect where sometimes that voice doesn't come through as our own best friend, and we need to really tap into that place that we need to be our own best friend and talk to ourselves in a loving, kind, guiding way.
Well, I really believe that all of our cells are eavesdropping in on our life in the way that we're processing it, in the way that we're communicating it. And I've said this a lot to my young, beautiful nieces. I mean, I really have some gorgeous nieces in my family. They're all just incredibly beautiful. And I know that young women, because of the way culture runs today, they can be really hard on themselves, because this idea of what they're pushing young girls to strive for with, all this
I know not all women can look like you, Ann.
With all this manufactured level of
airbrushing.
beauty. Yeah. And so what I've said to them is, I have, for those that are catching in, I know a lot of you've heard it. I was run over by a lawnmower when I was 2, and I've had a severely damaged leg, but it's highly functional today. Orthopedic surgeons don't know how I get the high functionality that I do on it, and I truly believe it's the message that I carry with me. It comes down to that. I am loving to my leg. I see my leg, which has been mangled, which has been hurt, which looks very injured. I see my leg as I got to be kind and loving, so I speak that way to my leg.
Yeah, there's others that would say, "Oh, my damn knee," and
Right.
"Oh, my damn back," and
We're just even looking at it. We could be so mean. Like, people are really hard on their bodies and they don't speak lovingly. And they're like, oh God, I hate the way this looks. I hate this. There's even words as strong as that is I hate. And so that's, I have said this to my nieces. If I spoke to my leg the way you're speaking to your body or different areas of your body, I really don't know if my leg would be responding so lovingly to me. And so I have this leg that's like, off the charts in functionality. And I really believe it's because, gosh, I got to be kind to my leg. It really works hard for me. And it's like, look at our bodies. I mean, our bodies work hard to serve us, to give us a house for our soul, to get around and interact and to feel love. I mean,
yeah. So those words that we speak, it really. It really had an impact for me when I was in the Dominican Republic, and there was a gentleman there that was talking about how he breaks his back for these people and how he works so hard for these people, and he's always busting his back for them. And then later I ran into him, and we had a big flight of stairs to walk up this one big cliff where they had the restaurant where we had dinner every evening, and he was like taking his time, and he was looking at the stairs like, oh geez, and I said, you all right? And he said, yeah, well, I had back surgery. And he
said, because I broke my back.
He literally broke his back. And when it seems like there's some kind of correlation between him saying I bust my back all the time and then having a busted back. So the way we carry the message, what we speak to ourselves, the inner dialogue is very important.
So if there's one powerful takeaway you can take from this aspect of it, it's what is the message? And just start to become, a real powerful, observant, with clarity, ownership of that message that you're carrying. So it's like, even down to like how we look at not only our health, but our wealth, our love. Are we speaking in places to our world that is abundant with wealthiness and health? And are we speaking in a place of lack? I always say this is the same as way everything can be either empowering or disempowering. Are we speaking in a time with ourselves in our life of abundance, or are we speaking in a time in a place with ourselves of lack in any capacity of our life? And what's crazy is we talk about this is a great time to be alive. We're living in a more abundant time than ever. I mean, really, abundance is available to us so much more instantly than what it was for generations ago.
Yeah. So we did 2 shows. We did a 2-parter on the message you carry. So go back and check out those episodes. All these are archived. You can go to empower11.com. You can subscribe on iTunes. You can go to Spreaker.com, get all these shows. So there's a number of different ways that you can get these shows. You can listen to them on your smartphone, whether it be iPhone or an Android phone. So we did 2 shows on the message that you carry. We did a message, we did a show on being your own life coach, which I think was a really, really good show, and I invite you to check that one out. And we also did one on finding your voice.
A lot of people listen to that show too, is finding your own voice.
Yeah, so these are all shows that we did that we covered on the subject about the message you carry. So I invite you to go and revisit those.
Yeah, because your jewels definitely sit in the place of where you find your own voice.
So the next kind of series that we did of shows was on which is our third power of Empower 11, which is the powerful life vision. And we talked about visions versus goals. We had a whole show on the visions.
You're in
versus
love with that
goals.
one, Jack.
Yes, I mean, I think it's like really important because visions are they're much broader, they're much bigger. Goals can actually become limiting.
And and visions are powerful. They're magnetic. I mean, we really tap into something that has real pull. Like we can get pulled to our dreams. I mean, when we look at like what happened with Jack and I and how we weren't even like necessarily looking for love, yet we found soulmate love so effortlessly. And there's a real power to that we can, the more we get into the vision of our life and what is our powerful life vision, we can become pulled to our dreams. Like what happened with us and finding soulmate love.
Yeah. So many people ask us about that. There's a saying about raising the bar, and we talk about going beyond raising the bar, and that's one of our key kind of messages about in Power 11. Here's the bar, and go above it. And for me in my life, I kept trying to raise the bar. I kept trying to raise the bar higher, and then, but it wasn't, the magic really didn't come in until I like raised the bar so high it just kind of went away.
Yeah.
And there's this real openness to allowing all this this beauty, this power to come into your life when you don't have any bars anymore. So if I would have set a goal, I had a goal of winning this one trip so that Ann and I could go on we could go to the Sundance Resort together and all that stuff. But what I realized was that was too limiting. And if I would have just had that, then, maybe I might have hit that goal. And we ended up going to it, but we ended up going all over the world that year. We went the equivalent of around the world like 1.5 times. I went on 29 flights myself that year. But how much more limiting would that be if it was only, this is my goal and we're going to Sundance and that's it.
And then the other aspect, Jack, that you always talk about is if you lower the bar in one area, it affects every area. So that's also when we do a powerful life vision, it's really about raising it up to empower a vision in our life that is in all areas that rise up together.
Yeah, many think that they have to lower the bar in some area of their life in order to raise the bar in another area of their life. Almost like it's like a teeter-totter. You have to kind of do that. But the thing is, if you do that, if you lower the bar in any area of life, it affects every area of your life. And that's not an empowering place to be. So you can actually have your cake and eat it too.
Yeah. Are you masterful at that? Because Jack loves cake.
I do love cake. And it is true. I confess.
Okay, so speaking of...
Send your cakes to...
And speaking of love, we'll go on to the next power, which is making the decision to love your life, which is... I'm in love with that, and you're in love with that, and that is that love vibration definitely brought us together, and that's one of the key, powerful components of Empower 11.
And I believe it is the decision, and I believe that love is a decision. I believe that happiness is a decision, and that making the decision to love your life is a decision that you can't make often enough. Sometimes I've had to remind myself that when I'm doing something that's difficult, like recently just trying to figure out this whole video aspect to add to our show and hooking up all the studio equipment and everything. It's not my area of expertise, and it's been challenging, and I've had some, I'm moving forward, and then I have some setbacks, and it can be frustrating, and I'm ready to pull my hair out, and then I have to remind myself, wait a minute, I'm doing what I love. This is something that I love to do. And when you bring love to it, love is such a high vibration. When you bring love to what you do, then I always say that if you love your life will love you back.
Okay, so when you say you bring love to what you do, really, Jack, I mean, you embody it in a stronger way. Like you be love, and then the love infuses in all that you do. And I mean, I know you're talking specifically about like the everyday snafu that can happen that we have to remind ourselves, but that declaration that you made about your life is what also changed your life because you decided. And I think that's important, Jack, because a lot of people feel that way. They are waiting for the planets to line up, X, Y, and Z to happen before
Yeah.
I'm going to love my life, because now I'll have that. It'll be ideally, and it places the love outside of ourselves.
Yeah, I think so. It's that when we're waiting for X, Y, and Z to happen, when we're looking for it on the outside, to then once I get it from out here, then I can have it in here. But it really doesn't work that way. It has to happen in
Well, you
here
chase
first.
something that you
Yeah.
can never get because
Yeah.
it is the carrot dangling that you never reach.
Well, it's the thing about, do you want to be the bee or do you want to be the flower? If it happens from the inside, if you make the decision to love your life and you just start loving your life, then you start attracting all this love vibration back. That it's kind of the match game, which we're going to talk about later.
Yeah, so making the decision to love your life is about loving on 11. It's about loving from that inside and having that outside rapport, and you are the bringer of it. You are the bringer of it to all that you do. And when you make that decision, then doesn't matter what you're confronted with in your life, you already know your outcome, and your outcome is love.
Yes, and not only doing, but being.
Yeah.
And it came to me when I was going through a kind of seemed difficult at the time, this transition that I was going through, when I had a lot of reconfiguring happening in my life. And I was, well, to make a long story short, I mean, I was missing gifts that were right in front of me because I was caught up in in my being miserable, and then I just I kind of had like an epiphany.
Well, state the gifts, because I think it's really important. I mean, you were out on this oasis, beautiful, crystal clear lake.
Yeah, I was
and
on
you're
the
with your son.
sixth most beautiful lake in the world, out on a boat. I was staring down at my feet, just
And your son
down
was fishing
and-
off the back.
Yeah. And I looked over, and he was fishing, and I looked around, and everything was beautiful and glistening, and I was in a paradise, and I'm
in
like,
a dream. You're with
I'm
your
like-
father and son and all this. Yeah.
I'm like, what am I doing? I'm just missing it. I'm missing this gift that's right here in front of me. And I said, that's unacceptable. So right there, I made the decision to love my life. And I always say, when I got off that boat, I was changed, and the world just started responding right away. It was just so spectacular, the way that that when you bring this high vibration, it's like very attractive.
Yeah. So one of the shows that we did is about the practice of love, because if wherever we're at in our life,
And I'm willing to keep practicing, Ann. We just got to practice our love.
I know it's actually fun, because love is that fun vibration of life. When we're in love, it's a lighter energy. It's fun. Actually, we had to remind that to you last night when we started our family game of apples to apples. That this is fun, Jack. We're gonna love this game.
I tried to hide the game so that they couldn't find it, but they were persistent.
Okay, so the practice of love. When we are in this place in our life that no matter what it looks like, we're in this place that we're saying, I'm going to find the love. I'm going to be the love in this experience. Pretty soon, the more we practice that, it becomes effortless, no matter what the configuration is. Because when you say, Jack, you got off that boat, you were a changed person, that was a decision followed with the practice.
Yeah. So we did several shows on this subject. We did the decision to love your life. We did the practice of love. We did love on 11. We did empowering relationships, and that was that Empowering Relationships one, I think well, they were all good shows, but I think there's really something to that, and I think that all of us have to deal with our relationships
in any capacity. I mean, all of our life depends on it. Whether, it's with our family, whether it's with our career, even to fulfill our purpose, it still is about connecting with how to empower relationships in a way that life wins. Our lives.
Even negotiating a better deal with Comcast. When you're on the phone, you have a relationship. Anybody you talk to, you're in a relationship with.
Well, okay, so then that this
you're
is
relating to,
right, and that's on a little subtle level. When Jack and I first got together, Jack was like, "Wow," he saw the way that I would negotiate, and it wasn't really. I'd always say it's not with this person; it's with life. And what I found is we can go so much farther with getting upgrades, getting what we want, getting our needs met, when we come from this empowering place for both relationships versus people use anger a lot in order to facilitate change in a relationship.
Yeah, and that's that place of force over power, and it's not used. I tell our 12-year-old all the time, like you need to use negotiation as like judo.
Yeah.
So that you're not coming in so forceful trying to get your way. You can do it in a way of ease and flow, and it actually makes the other person feel good about it, and that they want to do this for you, and they actually benefit from it. When everybody benefits, I mean that's the best possible outcome.
Well, that's because that's close to a God energy, a creator energy, the creator energy, that universal loving presence, which is a come closer, not a push away, not an exclusive.
I mean, when you negotiated a better room at one of the many resorts that we've been to, that you always negotiate a better room and a better rate and all this.
Well, okay, I just want to state for the record, I don't just start out thinking, oh, I'm going to get this better. It's like if there's something that I'm not happy with, because I'm all about having a great, happy experience, I'm all for how can I empower this to be better?
Sure. So, yeah, and then the next day we're down in the lobby, and the manager comes up to her and says, "I just felt so good. I slept so well knowing that I had done this for you." So the manager felt good, and we felt good, and it was good all the way around, versus going in there and demanding a better room.
Yeah, demanding a better room, using anger, using force, because now what you're doing is someone's
she gave us a private villa on the ocean right next to a private or semi-private pool.
Yeah, it was awesome.
Yeah, very cool. Very cool. So the next power that we're on to is Life by Design.
Which, okay, so when you take the what we were progressing in, the progression of steps, which is take ownership. What's the message you carry? A powerful life vision. Make the decision to love your life. Those are all the key component powers in order to really infuse a true place of life by design. If we're just skipping all those steps and we're just going to say, yeah, I'm going to do a life by design, but we're not clear on the message we're carrying, we're not clear of our ownership, we're not clear of that, how to love your life, how could you really design a life if you're not in this place of those key powers to do it? So Life by Design is about that, activating that authentic place, and that comes when you've progressed on those steps and really embodying it truthfully.
I think that's an important thing to state about skipping. Like you try to skip steps. You just try to find an easier, softer way, and sometimes, basically the only way through is through. And if you're trying to skip steps on a ladder, you can often fall. So this is an evolution. So I know I've experienced it, and I've watched the tragic consequences in the program. We just in the 12-step program, we just lost another person that he had chills, Jack. He had two beautiful twins, a girl and a boy, and who are going to grow up now without a father, and it's absolutely tragic, and it was just
and he had a lot of years of working at his sobriety too.
Yeah, but there's a lot of things I think that he skipped through, and he didn't, he didn't develop it, and he didn't bring this place of rigorous honesty and ownership and within. But Anyway, so Life by Design, very powerful. I think that many think that they can just get kind of, I'm just going to kind of get good with myself and the universe is going to respond. But there is this place of that there's this place of living a life by design and starting off in an intentional way. It's if you want, where you want to go, you chart a path to get there. You map it, and then versus I've seen in business, like, oh, I want to get here, and so I'm going to go around this way to get there instead of that direct path, and I'm like, well, why not just try to go directly there? There's enough zigzags that happen in life anyway.
Yeah. Well,
if you start heading that way, you're going to be way off course.
Well, and I think the thing is that people don't realize they're doing that, Jack. I don't think they realize how to get to that straight line, and that we can't get to that straight line unless we're really getting clear with, blueprinting how we want our life to be. And that's like, would you build a house without blueprints? I mean, we're all smart enough. I mean, we have this inner intelligence, which is our guiding navigational system that was already built into us, that comes with us from when we're born. It's innate in us. And then we have this great capacity of our mind, which is our intellect, which then we can gather tools in order to chart out our path and follow and find our way. And this is where we put into play really good tools. And I know we did a show about empowering rituals, because that's back to this full moon, is that begins to rituals. You can tell someone's life and the design of their life by the rituals that they do. And if their rituals are based on checking out, denying, zoning out, whether it be with TV or substances, well, already the design of their life is going to be conformed around that. So our rituals are so important. And that is, I feel so adamant with it. And that's why we do the full moon ritual, is because it's just a check-in point, and it's a ritual to be checking in, bringing light to the darkness, aligning ourselves with already what's happening in our natural world. That's one example. Meditating is a ritual that I do. Working out is a ritual that I do. Financial responsibility, I have rituals that I do around that. And every area of our lives, rituals are an aspect to life by design.
They're absolutely, they're the fundamentals that empower us to get where we're going to go. My life really started to shift when I started implementing daily rituals that I did on a daily basis, and not just every so often. I started making a list of things to do every day, and when that list got too long, I became okay with, as long as I do most things on most days, that was good. But I would go through this thing and I'd start checking them off as I did them, and things just started to happen rapidly. But anyway, we did 5 shows that are in the subject area, and there's Life by Design, there's activating authentic living. I think that was really powerful, because the truth is a truth, and the world responds to the truth, and love is truth, and love is the highest vibration.
I mean, I say that on my website: truth activates and love authenticates, because I really feel that is a mantra I live my life by.
And we did rituals that empower. We did making empowering decisions. And then also another show kind of off of that was the clarity of our choices. And all those are just such powerful tools to use in our life. Making empowering decisions. It's so often that when we're not clear, we're not in that good place. When we know a yes is a yes and a no is a no, and we have real clarity in that, I mean, that is very powerful. So often we can look back on things and, I don't know why I did that. I didn't know why I got talked into that. I had a bad feeling about that from the beginning. But you did it anyway.
Well, that's crazy too, because I think people pick careers where they don't know if it's really a yes for them or if it's a no for them. I think people get married sometimes, they don't even know if it's a yes or a no for them. And they just kind of go with it because they don't really know the clarity of their own choice. And then if we don't know that, it's really hard to make empowering decisions for ourselves.
Yeah, emotionally based decisions too. I mean, very often decisions are based off of an emotion that is just felt in the moment, and it's an immaturity that we can all go to at times. Just because it feels good. Like if I ever picked up substances again that weren't empowering for me, it wouldn't be a rational decision. It would be an emotionally based decision. And we have to be very careful about making those kind of decisions. Cody, our youngest, just the other day, I mean, his brother bought shoes, so he wanted to buy shoes too, even though there wasn't any shoes there that he really liked.
Yeah, there weren't the ones he went there to get and that he liked.
Yeah, but he just wanted to get shoes because his brother was getting shoes.
And he was told he could get the ones he wanted.
And that was all emotionally based. So
and his older brother was trying to reason with him, saying, you just wanted to get shoes just because you wanted shoes, but there weren't the shoes you wanted. And it's like, okay, how many of us are walking in not really the shoes we want to be walking in just because we're making a decision in that moment and then we're choosing something and now we're going to journey on those shoes? Mm-hmm. I mean, it's like...
Which leads us into our next power, which is life is a now business. And there's such power in having the clarity to know what to do and doing it now. And never have I seen this maybe more clearly than when CJ, our 12-year-old, he's almost 13.
Yes.
But he has this awareness that some of the kids are catching up a little bit on the baseball field, but it was last year? Was it last year he made that play?
Yeah, it was
triple.
Or it was the year before, I think.
The year before, okay. So he had such awareness that when he was pitching, and there was a runner on first and a runner on second, and he pitched and he got a line drive straight to him and that he caught. And he turned and he looked and he saw that the runners had run. Both from first and second, and he ran down the second, and then he turned around and ran down the first. Now, while the other kids are kind of going, what am I supposed to do? Do I go back? Do I go forward? But he was on it, and he was living life as a now business. And I often say that, like, when we do it now, we don't have to do it later. And I tell the boys that all the time, like, life is a now business. Do it now.
Well, actually, this was actually birthed out of, I was hearing you consult with business people, and you were saying that, your business, this is a now business. So anytime, businesses, it's like they live or die by being able to make the right decisions in the now, because if you make a wrong decision, it goes on. I mean, a business could hemorrhage and go under.
Or if you don't make the decision.
Right. So,
when a decision is definitely called for.
And so I was listening to him consult with people on their businesses, and the way he would always say, this is a now business. This is a now business. Those changes you need to make in business, you got to do it now. You don't have time when it's like these critical decisions that could really skew something in a wrong path, or it really could backlog something. And
often I hear, well, we've been doing it like this and we've been successful for a while. This is the way that business has been done. And I'm like, life is changing.
Life is a now business.
The world is changing, and you better get flexible and get with it. So,
and I said to him when I heard him saying this, I go, that is such a powerful. This was way back several years ago. I go, that is such a powerful way we can orientate to how we run all of our life. That it became one of the powers, because it's true. Eckhart Tolle has a lot of his success based on teaching people that the power is in the now. And if we can understand that life is a now business. So that's like a saying that gets thrown around our house all the time is, no, you don't leave a wet towel on the floor, because life is a now business. You pick it, you do not even put it down. You put it up where it belongs right to begin with.
Yeah, I tell the kids that they never have to clean their room again. They never have to straighten their room again as long as they keep it straight. Just put things back exactly where they were, and you never have to straighten it up. But many go through all this energy of messing up, cleaning, messing up, straightening up, messing up, straightening up, and
Well, we
that's
can do
not
this.
an empower place to be. I mean, if we didn't put our keys back on our key hook,
Yeah.
then we would spend a lot of time looking for the keys.
So then it comes down to how much of are we doing that in our lives personally, where we're not making amends in the moment, even though we know that we could offer up peace, we could offer up love, we could offer up a way to bring resolution to something. It's knowing that place. So we did a lot of shows on this about how to stay on your game.
We did Life is a Now Business, staying on your game. You are closer than you think.
And that's powerful because I think a lot of people sabotage themselves because they don't understand how really close they are to actualizing their dreams, that how close they are to getting what they want. And because we can get blindsided because we don't see it yet. We don't know how close we really are. And that's called, Julia Cameron, does The Artist Way, who's Martin Scorsese's ex-wife, she has this whole thing called creative sabotage. And I think a lot of us do that, where we do these U-turns of sabotage and we don't realize we're closer than what we think for all that we desire for ourselves.
Yeah, and what is it? Let me think here. There's a saying about diamonds in the backyard,
the acres of diamonds.
Yeah, but if you dig a bunch of 2-foot holes, you never reach the diamonds that are like 3 feet away. And I think that many just bounce from thing to thing, and they don't really get the clarity and start digging where they think where it's most empowering to do. We also did a show in this genre that is called The Constant State of Correction, and there's life can be unstable, and much like air travel. And Orville and Wilbur Wright, they weren't the first to invent the airplane. They are first to invent the airplane that worked because they put rudders on. They put devices to help them because they realized that air travel is unstable and they needed to be in a constant state of correction. And when you're operating these things, you're doing them in the now. You're not, if you're not doing them in the now, then you're going to crash.
Very good. Yeah. So then you kind of start to embody that power of Life is a Now Business and all the componentry that it takes to really embody that deep as a state of being versus a state of doing, but a state of being. And then your doing reflects that state of being. Then you're on the track to get on what would be our 7th power, which is get on the easy road. And the easy road is really getting into that right road for you. When you're in that right road for you, you start how you get there is how you stay there.
Yeah, there are easier ways to get places, and much. I mean, like I was talking about earlier, how people say, "Oh, I want to get here," and they think they got to go around this long way when this direct line is more suited. And there are ways to get to places, and when we were in the Dominican Republic and we were trying to find our way across country, and we were driving ourselves, which I guess is kind of crazy. That some say is kind of crazy because the Dominican Republic is some of the worst driving conditions in the world.
We just told someone that at dinner recently because we were both sharing about where we went to Dominican Republic where we traveled, and then we had said, well, we drove, and they're like eyeballs popped out of their head because like, wow, oh my gosh, you did.
Yeah. So we had a difficult time getting to the place that we were getting to.
We had a difficult time finding the new road, which is what it was called.
The new road with no signs, and yeah, it was very difficult. But once we found our way to that road, it was easy. So we realized that once you're on the right road, it can be easy, and many choose a more difficult path, or they don't find a direct route, and they try to go they try to go uphill, and when downhill is easier, that will get them to the same place.
Well, then that's one of the key parts of Get on the Easy Road is understanding that how you get there is how you stay there. That's the match game. That is that the energy that you're using to get where you need to go also becomes the matching experience that matches up. So if you're using, like, I'm going to sacrifice this part of my life in order to get here, what's going to happen is something will be sacrificed once you get there because it's always matching back to you.
How you get there is how you stay there. I mean, that is so important because many think I'm going to make this sacrifice and that just they're going to lower the bar in some area of life and it's going to affect every area of your life. And then someday when I get to the top, then I can relax. I can take my foot off the gas. But if whatever it took to get there is what it's going to take to stay there, and if you stop doing what it took to get there, then it's gonna collapse. So if you can get to that place in ease and flow, if you can find your way, your special way to get there that you love and you just want to continue doing, then you can get to the top and stay at the top.
Yeah, so you always say, Jack, if you have to fight tooth and nail to get there, you're going to have to fight tooth and nail to stay there. So it's like in whatever areas of our lives, I really believe we can give up the fight because there's another way. And that way is how we can stay there.
Yeah. You know, and when I did that video about the world is changing and I'm on the beach and, I said the way to compete is to not compete.
Yeah.
You know, to just get into that really good place within yourself, give that special gift of your uniqueness of who you are that nobody can match. I mean, but there's no other you. And when you can bring the most value of your uniqueness to something, that is where you can get to a place of ease and flow.
Yeah, because you can't be trumped.
Mm-hmm. So our next power is number 8, which is when you turn it, it's the infinity symbol, and it's leverage everything. And I just love leverage.
Yeah,
I think that. We did a show called Empowered People Leverage Everything. We talked about good to great. We did a show on that. We did leveraging relationships and leverage a balanced life. And I think those are just key components to leveraging everything. So how can I do something today that's going to benefit me ongoing? Well, and that's what I look like, or that's what I look at. Like this show. This show is going to be out there for people to listen to, and therefore I'm leveraging myself as opposed to just or Ann and I are leveraging ourselves as opposed to if we were just having this conversation with one person at a time. That would take us a long time to spread our message.
Well, Jack, you're the one that really helped me understand, a lot of areas of my life where I was really good at leveraging. And I've always heard about leveraging, finances, and that's the best way to financial success is you leverage your money. But you're the one that helped me really integrate it in an understanding, even though there was places in my life I was already doing it. And that's when you explained the dandelion story, because it's really, leverage is a life principle. It's not about, you hear it a lot in finances, but it's not just isolated to finances. So just share that dandelion story, because if we can apply that same principle to all of our life, then...
Yeah, I mean, there's things that can take on their own energies, and if you look for that in business and ways to empower yourself, the example is you go into a field of grass and you plant a dandelion, and then you go away and you come back, and then you have a field of dandelions. So they took on their own energy. So when we can we tap into these things that can take on their own energy, that we can really empower ourselves.
Yeah, so it's moving away from less manufactured way and getting into more of a natural, organic, quantum multiplying way, with however we're taking care of our body, however we're taking care of our finances, our relationships. It's really tapping into that where it starts to begin to take on its own energy. I mean, that's really how you want to raise children, is so that you're leveraging.
They become more self-sufficient.
Yeah,
you don't have to do everything for them,
and they begin to take on that energy, and that comes from, approaching it that way. So empowered people leverage everything.
And then we moved on to the 9th power, which is accelerating the law of attraction. And we did a bunch of shows on this because it was just such a powerful, it's just such a powerful thing. And a lot has been talked about the law of attraction, but and the law of attraction is something that we're using in our lives all the time. But how do we really tap in to accelerate that, and how do we get that to really work for us?
And that brings us to what the last show was. We talked about how to accelerate the law of attraction, but then we also talked about how your personal laws that you're operating your life from, which is your karma, which is your own cause and effect, which is your own congruency. And really, the more you can get congruent with your personal laws to match up with what you're trying to attract into your life, you begin to accelerate it. And synchronizing with that. I want to say that I love that it's the ninth power. We have 11 altogether, and this is where our last show, we've got the whole year has went up to this episode, which is accelerating the law of attraction, and then your own personal law and how to synchronize that so it can accelerate. But I want to say that 9 is a powerful number because when things happen in 3, it starts to manifest. And so 9 is 3 times. That's why it's not by accident we have this as the ninth power, accelerating the law of attraction. So everything we've covered, the more we can embody that in our lives, the closer we can get to really influencing and accelerating the law of attraction. The next shows coming up, we're going to go over how to embody all of this much more stronger, and then how to get to this place where we're living our life on 11. But these keys were the foundation. These powers were how do you start to turn up the volume and empower your life on 11.
Yeah. So I'm really looking forward to developing these next 2 powers. And we encourage you to keep listening to as we develop these, and we continue on our series of turning your life up to 11 and how to empower 11. Now we're going to end the show with Anne's meditational moment. And Anne, take it away.
Well, first I want to say that I'm going to share with you an actual partial guided meditation that's in our 11-day Empower Now program. Make sure you like us on Facebook, opt in on Empower 11 and get an Empower Now audio. This way it'll keep you in the loop because this program's getting ready to roll out, and it's all about how you have a set program to empower your life on 11 in an 11-day set steps of progression. And this is one of the days where we have a guided meditation, and wherever you're at in your life, I want you to think about some barrier, some obstacle that you feel is out of control, or you're frustrated with, or you're disappointed with. And now I want you to get into this place where you have the ability to get on the other side of it. So I'm going to take you through that. So wherever you're at, I encourage you to take a few deep breaths in and out and get into that peaceful and still place within, that place where you're in your empower zone, the flow zone for you. Now, I want you to think about a barrier right now that's blocking an intention that you desire to have happen in your life. And I want you to easily merge yourself into a state of moving water. Imagine what that would feel like, just merging yourself into moving water. This moving water represents the river of your life, the water that's warm and inviting that can carry you along. The power of this river is greater than you are, so you let yourself be carried with an easy, steady flow as the current moves with you and for you in your flow zone that's all around you. Now imagine that you're approaching something that feels like a barrier in your life. The flow of that river knows the exact path to take you as the water effortlessly carries you right past any obstacle or barrier or any area of your life that feels heavy. You can get past that. You can move past that. And as you move past, just in that perfect way for you, you can look back and see that you're on the other side of that barrier. You feel powerful protection as you trust the flow and empower your now. This is all available to you. I encourage you, every time that you feel a sense of blockage or barrier in your life, remember, there's a current, there's a river to your life that knows exactly how to go to move you around, over, and through any barrier effortlessly and easily. So just imagine, picture that river of life carrying you, knowing that there's a power greater than you that can move with you. That is just a snippet out of the 11-day Empower Now program. Make sure you like us on Facebook and opt in. And we look forward to continuing the conversation with you on Empower 11 and the 11 powers to turn your life up to 11 as we continue on the contents from our book and the 10th power and the 11th power over the course of the rest of the summer.